Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We want to get started on time, and so we can be expeditious and get you in and have a good time sharing information. At this time, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brian Wade. I'm the Community Policing Coordinator for the City of Harrisburg. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. I know there will be people coming in as we've started, but we want to, again, start on time. What I'd like to do now is introduce Mrs. Tina Nixon, who's the Chief Executive Officer for the YWCA of Harrisburg. Ms. Nixon.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for being here. As an organization that sees violence firsthand and victims of violence, it's impossible to ignore the fact that the incidence of violence in our community has risen again. I think it's important that we have these conversations. And many months ago, when the mayor appointed me as the chair to the Sexual Violence Task Force, one of the things I stated during one of our meetings, it takes all of us to address and end the violence that takes place in our community. At the YWCA, we see children that are impacted directly by what is going on, and I hope you all here tonight to help us address the violence in our community so that we're able to move forward and we're able to have neighborhoods where parents are not afraid to let their children go out and play. So thank you all for being here this evening. Welcome to the YWCA, and I'm glad you're here to address this important issue.
Thank you, Mrs. Nixon. At this time, I'd like to introduce the mayor for the City of Harrisburg, Mayor Linda Thompson, who will provide our opening remarks. Mayor Thompson.
Good evening, everyone. I am so honored to be here with you tonight. I'm so glad that so many have come out tonight. We want to thank Tina Nixon for allowing us to host this event here. This is not the first time that she has shared these facilities with us, particularly the Public Safety Advisory Council. I started a year ago under Helen Spence, and you'll hear more from Helen tonight as well. So I just want to say good evening and thank you again for joining us for this symposium on safer communities and community transformation, which is an added value to the neighborhood safe zones that we started a year ago. I'm not sure how many of the neighborhood watch groups or the individuals that are here tonight that may not be a part of the neighborhood watch groups that are familiar with the Neighborhood Safe Zone initiative we launched last year. But we're very, very committed and proud of that particular initiative because it was really all about going in with law enforcement action first and dealing with the criminal element, and then rather than to go in with just that hardcore raw spirit, we wanted to go in also with all of the other services we provide to the community to give it a holistic type of approach and begin to rebuild those neighborhoods. So again, this particular discussion tonight is really an added value to the already existing neighborhood safe zone that goes in, as I said again, first of all with law enforcement action to address the criminal behavior and element in that neighborhood, and then following through with public works to address the illegal dumping, the violations of families and residents and homeowners who are not compliant to the trash ordinance in terms of having trash cans and putting your trash bags in those trash cans and keeping your lawn and your sidewalks cleaner and free of litter. That's the second component of the neighborhood safe zone. And then the third part was allowing building and housing to go in and inspect the properties that were in violation, code violations with their exterior and also their interior housing. We go in and we cite those houses for various reasons according to our ordinances, and once we do that, then we wanted to have a softer piece of our approach, and that was to bring the housing staff that monitors and administers our federal grant dollars that we get from the federal government that allows us to utilize those dollars to build houses, renovate houses, and to allow homeowners to apply for those grant dollars to fix up their properties, whether it was a broken furnace, whether it's a broken drain spout, all those conditions that continue to deteriorate the fabric of the neighborhood in a particular home that then begins to breed the criminal element. And once we do that, then we know that we have established, the spirit of rebuilding that neighborhood and then begin to empower the residents. The other component that we bring with the neighborhood safe zone is also about going in here and surveying all of the traffic, all of the lights in that area, whether it's, let me just take it out, turn it on. As part of what's Then we go in with the foreman of our light departments, and and we allowed him to go in and survey all the lights in the neighborhood. And if we have broken lights, lights that are out, he surveys those lights, and then he goes out and replaces and repairs those lights. And that's been really what we've been doing for a year and a half of the Neighborhood Safe Zone Initiative. So tonight is, how now do we engage the public, since they already were engaged with some of the neighborhood safe zones, and give them more encouragement and power to begin to maintain what we've already begun to rebuild. And so tonight's meeting is about how then do the neighborhood watch groups become more enforcement, all of the directors of our departments, and bring added value for you now to take control of your own neighborhoods and not be so quick to run out of your neighborhood, sell your homes, and be afraid of that criminal element. So I'm glad and pleased to address this very important topic tonight, and thank again Ms. Tina Nixon and all of you for coming out to discuss this important event and strategies on how to fight crime, create safer neighborhoods, and equip our citizens with the information and resources to be more engaged in this effort in our neighborhoods. I also thank Ms. Helen Spence, as I had noted before, who was given the opportunity to chair the Mayor's Public Safety Advisory Council that we launched last year as well, that is made up a lot of community residents who are on this neighborhood's Public Safety Council. We've had numerous meetings right here and also in other areas of the community. And members of that advisory council for their leadership and engagement in the issues of safety and community. As you know, one of the major priorities for this administration has been to fight against crime and violence in our city. Over the last 4 years, city government has worked diligently to address crime. We have been transparent in our efforts and continue to seek new and more intense, broad-reaching strategies to reduce crime and make Harrisburg safe for all of our citizens. It is important to have this conversation about safety with the meaningful exchange of information so that we can educate ourselves, organize effective and use sustainable strategies so that we can move forward with the revitalization of our city. This is so critical because the revitalization and recovery of our city is inextricably tied to having a safe environment for our children, families, schools, businesses, and economic development. So having successful safety and crime prevention programs doesn't only mean having police on the streets and arresting, which is what I talked about, how we build the neighborhood safe zone around the social element as well, and providing those kinds of programs to add value to restoring the neighborhood where the criminals are resting. It means that we must know our neighborhoods, identify the conditions that lead to give cover to and perpetrate crime, and then work collaboratively to develop and implement strategies that combat crime. One of the most important steps we can take in this is in regards to having informed citizens and empowering those informed citizens and meaningful partnerships between citizens and law enforcement. Many of you already have an existing relationship with our police department. You've already been involved with the city of Harrisburg and our department directors in giving us very valuable data to be able to go in there and quickly and swiftly and identify who the criminals are who are perpetrating the crimes in your neighborhood and deteriorating the very beautiful neighborhoods that you all have been working hard to sustain. One of the steps we have taken to enhance this effort is adding the community policing coordinator. And you all have met Brian, and I know you all can agree with me that Brian is one great gentleman, very informed, very educated, and pretty much knows how to develop these types of added value services when it comes to our community policing officer. Brian is an added value to our team, and he understands the major priorities that we've laid out for him, and he is the liaison between the police and myself in building those relationships with the neighbors, the citizens, and the police department. And so we're very proud to have him a part of this great initiative when it comes to educating the residents about what to look out for, encourage citizens to be proactive in reporting suspicious persons and activities, identifying resources for assistance, and maintain open lines of communication with the citizens and enhance the communication between the citizens and the police. This evening, members of the city's management team will be present. A general overview of strategies to address critical community safety topics will be discussed tonight: security and surveillance, illegal dumping, fire safety, managing condemned and blighted property, and neighborhood crime watch groups. Subsequent sessions will focus on each of these topics and other priority issues more intensely. And again, I thank you, all of you, for your concern for safety in our city and your willingness to take active role in transforming our communities. And I contend that every citizen, every one of us, has a responsibility to be proactively engaged in the security of our neighborhoods and report illegal crime and illegal behavior. So we can no longer hold on to the no snitch responsibility. We can no longer hold on to, it's not my problem. We can no longer hold on to, well, let's just call the police, they'll solve it all. No, they cannot do it alone. We cannot do it alone. We all play a very important role in how we make sure we send a strong and collective spirit and message to the criminal element that we will not tolerate this in our community. And so again, as we begin to move forward, I hope you get more engaged in the Neighborhood Safety Zone initiative as we add this added value component to it, because we can go in and we can begin to rebuild the neighborhood by police actions, as I said, by sending in our public works department to clean up all the illegal dumping that goes on in those neighborhoods, by sending in our light department to fix the lights, and by sending in our building and housing staff to provide you with opportunities to apply for grant money to fix up your property. But if you don't sustain it, if you're not being proactive, if you're not pulling out your cameras and taking the license tags of those cars that are coming in your neighborhoods with frequent stops, going into one particular house, in and out, in and out, in and out, whether you know what's going on there or not, but sometimes our very gut, our very intuition lets us know that something's wrong about that particular neighborhood, that particular neighbor who has constant car trafficking in and out of that house, in and out of that house. There's something going on there. If you don't see a bunch of people carrying in food and having picnics, you know that there's something, and let the police determine whether it is a drug house. Let the police department determine whether there's something suspicious about that particular person. Just to give you some tips, since we've been pushing forward this neighborhood safe zone, since 2010, we've been able to remove 200 guns off the street, possessed by those who possess them illegally. 200. And we're still collecting these guns. What we've done is strategically collected data in various sections of this neighborhood where we know crime is high. And what we do is we go in with our police cops first. We bring the big mobile unit out there. And we don't let the public know anymore where we're staging these neighborhood safe zones, because when we first launched the Neighborhood Safe program, you know, when we got there, it was like a ghost town because all the drug dealers were tipped off, all the criminals were tipped off. So we go in by surprise element now, and we've been getting great success. As I said, since 2010, we've been able to get 200 guns off the street. And we're very proud of that record, and we still have a lot more to go. And so with that being stated, you know, you are our eyes and ears, and without you telling us, without you tipping us off, we wouldn't be as successful as we have been in getting those guns off the street. Without you tipping us off about that person that comes in who doesn't live in Harrisburg and decides to dump all their waste in our back alleys, without you tipping us off, without you pulling out your camera or taking the tag number down, we would not be able to apprehend these persons who are coming in here dumping their waste in our back alleys. And not all of that waste that's being dumped is coming from the outside region. Sometimes it's right there in your very own neighborhood. I can't imagine how people can get up every morning and witness someone throwing their mattress out on the corner. I mean, who does that? And this is done on a daily basis, and I can tell you we've been able to, through our neighborhood safe zones, we give ourselves a performance report. Every week I ask the department heads to bring in the performance report of this neighborhood safe zone. I can tell you right now, under Public Works alone, we've been able to collect well over close to 25 tons of illegal dumping. Out of those 7 different sections of the city, we're now in Neighborhood Safe Zone 7. We'll be reporting out next week. Every time we report out, we're reporting out anywhere between 2.5 to 3 tons of illegal waste, where someone just comes in with a truck and dumps it in the back alley, or finds a vacant lot that's not being in its high and best use and decides to dump mattresses, couches, you know, no matter what it is, they just dump it on a vacant lot. And the next morning, no one seems to know who did it. It's like a spirit of comfortability in these neighborhoods, and it's becoming to be familiar with those who are dumping. And so hopefully tonight we can take this message to another level, and that all of you can become involved. And we thank you so much for coming out tonight and being a part of this most important effort in making sure that we take back our city in every neighborhood, not just in certain neighborhoods. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mayor Thompson. is Ronald Johnson, and I'm the chairperson of the Neighborhood Square Watch Group in the 1800 block of Zarker Street. And I've been the chairperson for the last 9 years, and I'm trying to get my community to realize that there is a better and cleaner and a quieter and safer way to live. And what we do is we are visual in our neighborhood. We welcome people into our neighborhood, and we just ask them not to do anything illegal, because if they do, we report it, and we keep nothing under wraps. We host meetings once a month out in the streets so that they know that we're there, we're active, and we're very visual on what goes on in our communities.